There was once a man who longed to see what hell looked like. He kept craving the place so much that people started calling him Hellman. His name was Simon. He had no wife and children and was known to love only two things: farming and storytelling. The only living kindred he had was a caring stepmother. I just long to see what people there look like and whether it's a real place. Simon would respond to anyone who asked him why he wanted to go to hell. One day he felt terribly ill and would not even go to farm. So he spent the whole day in his house, all alone, sleeping. At midday, a man clothed in swaddling clothes and carrying a spear appeared at his door. Simon called the man. "Stand up and come with me." "Where to, my lord?" Simon asked. "To hell," replied the angelic being. Simon was happy that he was finally going to see hell. He stood up and quickly followed the man out of the house and away. For nearly 2 hours, they walked on a very narrow path through a thick forest in the middle of nowhere. All he could hear was the hooting of owls as if from a distant hill. Then finally they came out of the forest and landed on a green field. He felt sprightly and his feet extremely light as they moved across the field. And he still kept hearing the hooting of owls. "Hurry up, Simon," the man goaded him. When they reached the other edge of the field, they stopped and waited. There was another forest at that side, and the pathway to it seemed unclear yet. Shortly, a ghostly dark figure emanated from the forest, roaring like a ravenous lion, ready to pounce on its prey. "Now, Simon, you shall go with him," said the angelic man. "Why him? You said you'd take me to the place," complained Simon. "I have managed to bring you this far, but I can't cross over to the other side lest I lose my powers." Simon, light cannot mix with darkness. Before he could make good his complaint, the ghost arrived near the spot and the angelic man pushed him to it, for there was a red line at the edge of the field that neither of the two creatures was allowed to cross. The ghostly figure got hold of Simon and dragged him to the forest. The sound of the hooting owl ceased, and Simon squirmed in fear. He tried to shout, but his jaws would not fall apart. A thick cloud of darkness covered him, and a foggy way opened up in front of him. The ghost held his hand and walked him down the road. It seemed to him as if they were moving downhill at a terrifying speed, and he kept hearing someone calling out his name from a distance, and the sound echoing back and forth. After a while, he began to hear sounds of people shrieking and moaning in anguish. Then finally they stopped, and the sounds grew louder. A dim light appeared like that of a candle lit in the middle of a sea, and he found that they were standing in front of a huge gate. It was then and there that the feelings of death visited him, yet he still had someone calling out his name, as if telling him to return. "Where is this?" he asked the ghost. "Hell," replied the spirit in a rough, deep voice. "But I thought there's fire in hell." "You will know what is there, kid, soon. There's more fire in every life than you can imagine. Welcome home." The ghost then let him free to open the gate. Simon looked into the broad space inside and felt the movement of shapes up and down. As the man opened the gate, he heard the voice of his grandmother among the invisible creatures, shouting, "No, Simon, go back!" That was to him an alarm that things were not good in hell. He quickly turned and started running away. Not after so long, the ghost turned to push him in and realized that he had escaped. It therefore closed the gate and went after him with great speed. As Simon ran away, he heard the footsteps of the ghost drawing closer and someone constantly saying, come on, Simon, hurry up. He turned and saw the ghostly figure hurrying after him just a few meters away. He looked ahead of him and saw the edge of the forest just a few shots away. He increased his pace, the ghost now hurtling closely behind him. Finally, he arrived at the edge of the forest and fell down. Then he looked up and saw that the red line was only a few meters away, and the angelic man still stood there at the edge of the field. Come on, Simon! He shouted at him. Come back to me! He stood up, the ghost nearly grasping him, his breath nearly cutting off, and lunged forward towards the line. The angelic man quickly grabbed his arm and swelled him out. I knew you'd make it, my boy. Oh, I knew you'd return, said the angelic man. That's not the right place for you, and now you know. He took one huge gulp of air deep into his lungs, and his eyes opened. Standing right beside him with her hands across his chest was his stepmother. He smiled, sweat trickling down his forehead. Then he strained his eyes across and saw other people in the room. Oh, thank God. I kept calling your name and giving you first aid, she said emotionally. I was afraid you'd leave us, son. I'm sorry, Mom. An angel came here and took me to hell. It's horrible there, and I refused to enter, and so we returned. The woman did not respond. Neither did the people. They thought for a moment that he had lost his fatal. Thanks for listening. Let's meet again in my next story.